If you think you have already seen everything about DYSHEN, then stop right now and stay with this story until the very end, because what you are about to hear changes everything. And if you do not want to miss the next shocking chapter, make sure you stay locked on this channel and subscribe right now, because this is where the real story unfolds. The reunion happened quietly at first. No announcement. No dramatic reveal. Just one ordinary afternoon that turned into a moment no one could ignore. Shen Yue walked into the private studio hallway thinking it would be another routine schedule. She had learned to keep her head down lately. The noise outside had been relentless. Whispers. Accusations. Endless commentary questioning her every move. She thought she was prepared. She was not. The moment she looked up, she froze. Dylan Wang was standing there. Not on a screen. Not in an old clip. Not in a memory fans replayed over and over. He was there in real time. Close enough that she could see the tension in his jaw and the hesitation in his eyes. For a second neither of them moved. The air between them felt heavy, charged with everything they never said publicly and everything they carried privately. People nearby sensed something was happening and instinctively stepped back. This was not scripted. This was not planned. This was DYSHEN standing face to face again after everything. Shen Yue tried to speak, but no words came out. Dylan broke the silence first. He said her name softly, not loudly enough for the room to hear, but clearly enough for her to feel it. That one word was enough to pull her out of the storm she had been living in. What fans did not see was what happened next. Shen Yue took a step back, not away from him, but away from the eyes already turning toward them. She looked tired. Not physically, but emotionally. Dylan noticed immediately. His expression changed. Gone was the surprise. In its place was concern, unmistakable and unfiltered. That was when the noise outside exploded. Within hours, photos leaked. Not dramatic photos. Not romantic poses. Just two people standing close. Talking. Existing in the same space again. That was all it took. Haters swarmed. Old narratives were dragged back up. Shen Yue was targeted again. Accusations flew faster than facts. Every movement she made was twisted into something it was not. She tried to ignore it. She always tried. But this time it hit differently. Backstage that evening, Shen Yue sat alone, staring at her phone, scrolling through messages she never asked for. Her hands trembled slightly. She told herself she was used to this. But no one truly gets used to being constantly misunderstood. Dylan found her there. He did not ask what was wrong. He already knew. He sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched, grounding her without making a scene. He told her quietly that she was not alone. That this time, things would be different. And then something completely unexpected happened. Dylan made a call. Not to management. Not to a friend. He called his mother. What followed shocked everyone who later learned the truth. Dylan's mother had been watching quietly for a long time. She had seen the attacks. She had seen how Shen Yue carried herself despite the pressure. She had seen the respect, the restraint, the way Shen Yue never responded with cruelty even when pushed. That night, Dylan's mother stepped in. The next morning, a statement circulated privately first, then more openly. Not aggressive. Not defensive. But firm. Clear. Protective. It was unmistakable who it came from. She spoke about kindness. About boundaries. About how easy it is to destroy someone with words and how hard it is to build character. She did not name names. She did not point fingers. But everyone understood. For the first time, the noise slowed. Fans noticed something else too. Dylan stopped staying silent. Not with dramatic posts. Not with explanations. But with presence. He was seen arriving and leaving with Shen Yue. Not hiding. Not performing. Just standing beside her. Calm. Unmoved. Unashamed. Shen Yue changed too. She stood taller. Smiled more freely. When asked vague questions, she no longer looked like someone bracing for impact. She looked like someone who felt supported. The reunion was no longer just about DYSHEN. It became about choosing people over pressure. About family stepping in when lines are crossed. About love expressed not through words but through action. Haters expected chaos. What they got was unity. And that is what made them lose it. Because nothing is more frustrating than seeing the people you try to break stand stronger together. This story is not over. Not even close. After Dylan's mother stepped in, the atmosphere around Shen Yue shifted in a way no one expected. The noise did not disappear overnight, but it changed tone. What once felt aggressive now felt cautious. People were watching more carefully, speaking more slowly, thinking twice. Shen Yue noticed it immediately. She arrived on set the next morning earlier than usual, wearing a simple outfit, her face calm but guarded. Crew members who once avoided eye contact now greeted her softly. Some offered quiet smiles. Others simply nodded, as if acknowledging something unspoken. She felt it in the air. Something had turned. Dylan arrived shortly after. This time, he did not hesitate. He walked straight toward her, stopping close enough that their presence together could not be denied. Cameras were nearby. Phones were out. But neither of them stepped away. Instead, Dylan spoke clearly, not loudly, but with enough confidence that those nearby could hear. He said she did nothing wrong. He said people should stop creating stories where there were none. He said some things are private, and respect should not be optional. That moment alone spread faster than any rumor. Online, reactions split sharply. Some fans were stunned by his firmness. Others felt something they had not felt in a long time. Relief. For once, Shen Yue was not standing alone. But the real turning point came later that evening. Dylan's mother invited Shen Yue to dinner again. Not privately this time. This time, with intention. When Shen Yue arrived, she was nervous in a way she had not felt before. Not fear, but the weight of what the invitation meant. Dylan's mother welcomed her warmly, guiding her inside with a hand placed gently on her shoulder. The gesture was subtle, but powerful. They talked for hours. Not about rumors. Not about hate. But about life. Pressure. Loneliness. The cost of being watched constantly. Dylan's mother listened closely, her expression thoughtful, sometimes softened by understanding. At one point, she said something Shen Yue would never forget. She said strength is not how loudly you fight back, but how quietly you stay kind when the world tries to harden you. Shen Yue's eyes filled, but she smiled. The next day, something unexpected happened again. Dylan's mother appeared publicly at an event she rarely attended. She did not stand behind Dylan. She stood beside Shen Yue. No announcement was made. No explanation offered. But photos spread instantly. The message was unmistakable. Support does not always need words. Haters tried to twist it. They always do. But this time, their voices were drowned out by something stronger. Consistency. Calm. Family standing together. Dylan and Shen Yue continued their schedules, but now with a quiet confidence. They were not hiding. They were not performing. They were simply existing side by side, letting time and truth do the work. One evening, after a long shoot, Shen Yue sat alone on the steps outside the studio. Dylan joined her, offering a bottle of water without speaking. They sat in silence for a while, watching the lights dim one by one. She finally spoke. She asked him if it was hard, standing up like that, knowing the backlash it could bring. He looked at her and answered honestly. He said yes. But he also said some things are worth the wait. Some people are worth the noise. Shen Yue nodded, her smile small but real. As days passed, the story slowly stopped being about conflict. It became about growth. About protection. About what happens when people refuse to let negativity decide their narrative. Fans noticed something else too. Shen Yue laughed more on set. Dylan seemed lighter. The tension that once followed them had loosened its grip. Not because everyone approved, but because approval was no longer the goal. The reunion had started quietly. It ended powerfully. Not with a dramatic declaration. Not with chaos. But with a clear message. They were no longer reacting. They were choosing. And as the noise faded into the background, one truth remained undeniable. DYSHEN did not reunite to prove anything to the world. They reunited to stand their ground together. If this story stayed with you, if you felt the shift, the growth, the strength behind the silence, stay right here and keep watching, because this is K-Drama Drops, and this is where the stories never end when the cameras stop.